Hey, it's Lockie here with a review of the 2021 Burton Step On X bindings. I'll talk about how they work, what they're like to ride on, as well as the clicking noise that they make. When the stiffer X versions of the bindings came out, I was interested because I thought they would match my riding style a bit more than the regular, softer step-on bindings. Although it would have been quite a bit cheaper to get some regular step-ons and some softer boots like the rulers, it wouldn't have been a good match for my riding style and the flex that I like, so it wouldn't have been a very fair review. I was hoping that if I ended up liking how they worked, at least they would have a similar feel to the setup that I currently ride, which is some mid-flexing Solomon launch boa boots with Burton cartels. Though they are the older cartels, which are closer to the new Cartel X rather than the new cut-back cheaper cartels with the softer flex. I ended up choosing the Photon boots, which have a medium flex and some similar features to my regular boots. Although Ions would probably have been better, they were super expensive, especially for the whole setup that was new to me. I wasn't worried about how the boot fit because I have a foot shape that suits Solomon and Burton boots quite well. My normal problem is getting enough heel hold, and the Photon gives me plenty. They're a double boa boot that has one boa that does the main job of tightening the whole boot, and one separate ankle strap which helps to lock your foot down. The X versions of the bindings have a noticeably stiffer highback than the regular step-ons, which has carbon added to it, as well as in the baseplate. The whole system works the same no matter which version step-on bindings you have, with 3 connections between each boot and the binding. There's a little thing on the back of the heel that slides into the highback and clicks in, and 2 connections at the toes of the boots. You have to click the heel in first, then you can push down with your toes to lock the other 2 in. There are 2 settings for the heel connection. One click goes in easily, then you can push a bit harder to get the second. It's fine to ride with just one click, but it isn't hard to get the second one, even if it takes a little bit of a stomp. Once you learn the pattern for getting in and out, it is pretty quick and easy. To get out of the bindings, there's a little lever on the side that you can pull up, which releases the heel of the boot. Then once that's free, you can twist your foot to bring your ankle to the middle of the board to smoothly release the toes. They come with a disc which is similar to the regular reflex disc, so you can mount these on normal snowboards as well as boards with the channel. The footbed slides to different positions to match your boot size, so make sure that you've got the correct position for your boots. You can adjust the forward lean of the highback with a couple of screws, but I don't ride with any forward lean, so I never adjusted them. The Photon boas aren't a cheap boot, so it makes sense that they were quite comfortable and had all the adjustments that I needed. The liner has some Velcro on the top which holds it together up high, and then the regular liner lace, which is the same on all Burton boots. I had all the support I needed playing with a combination of the tightness of the 2 boas, so I don't have anything to complain about with the boots at all. It didn't take me long to get used to getting in and out of the bindings, but there are a few things you have to look out for. Getting in for the first run of the day is no problem. If you're starting on a hill, you would just bang the heel edge of the board in to make a bit of a platform, then squash your foot in. The pattern of lifting up your heel and twisting your ankle to get out isn't that hard, but you need to make sure the board is stable. Otherwise it's easy to awkwardly half fall and still stay stuck in the binding. Once you're clicked into the bindings, I have zero worry about them coming out. The connection with the 3 points is very strong. If for some reason you don't get both sides of the toes clicked in, it's pretty obvious and easy to tell before you start riding. Just like a regular binding, you'll still need to brush off the snow before you try and get your boot in, but it does get a little bit harder in powder. Getting strapped in while you're in powder is a pain, even with regular bindings, and it isn't always easy with the step-ons. You'll still need to brush all the snow off the footbed, and sometimes I found that I might have to brush or scrape snow off the bottom of my boot before both of the toes would click in. If there is still some built-up snow, you might only get one click of the heel, but the second click seems to come as soon as you start riding if you can't force it in while you're standing still. As for the performance of the setup, I really liked it. The combination of boots and bindings that I had gave me enough support while still having enough flex that I didn't feel like I was too restricted when I was riding in the park or just cruising around. There wasn't a certain type of riding that I questioned whether or not I should use them. Even if I was going to spend the whole day in the park or trying to find powder, it all worked fine. They were quite responsive on both the toe and the heel side. There was a slight different feel to how the boot flexed, but it was only a very minor change. Now the bad stuff. I really didn't know how much I would end up riding the step-ons, but I have ended up using them almost every day I've been riding. It's an easy, quick and comfortable setup, and I don't feel like I'm really missing out on any performance. The problem is the clicking and squeaking noise they make. There's a tiny bit of play between the toe cleats on the boots and the parts that they mount to on the front of the bindings. If you just test the boots and the bindings, you can push them around and the setup feels nice and tight, with no real play or noise. Once you're wearing the boots though, the extra weight being shifted on every turn makes a whole lot of clicking and sometimes squeaking depending on the temperature outside. If you're riding in soft powder on a quiet day, the clicking is very noticeable, even just to people I was riding with. Once you notice it for the first time, it seems to get louder and louder the more you ride. I don't know how much it seems to vary depending on the day and the conditions. Some days it's barely noticeable, while others it's very obvious. It got to the point where I couldn't stand anymore. Even through the noise of the snow, it was still the only thing I heard. It makes the expensive setup sound cheap and flimsy, even though I know that it's not. I was thinking that although I liked how the setup rides, I wouldn't be able to ride without constantly being annoyed by the clicking. But in the end I still keep taking them out, and sometimes I either seem to ignore it or it just occasionally fades away. I don't really know if I could recommend these. On one hand, they're good to ride in. They're responsive, the boots are comfortable, it's very quick and easy to get in and out, but the noise is horrible. If there was something I could do that could get clicking to disappear, then they would be great and I would probably use them all the time. It's just way too annoying for me to be able to ride with. If you have any questions about the step-ons, leave them in the comments below. And feel free to subscribe if you want more videos. I should have much more coming out this winter.